Hi, I'm Hugo Messer, the founder of Equipa. In this short video, I want to try and bring you as an HR person my personal mission, and that's to bring the Agile spark to many people in Indonesia. Now for me, the Agile spark has three main ingredients, but it all boils down to creating an Agile culture. So what I see nowadays is that because of rapid change, because of Corona, because of startups disrupting us, many companies try to become more like startups and try to reinvent themselves in order to create the future and to deal with the current circumstances. Now, I'm a strong believer of Agile as a vehicle to make this all happen. So for you as HR, for example, you might be thinking about productivity, and you might also be thinking about, in this new era, how do I make sure that my people are still growing and learning and contributing to the organization. Now to me, Agile has all the answers to this. And Agile usually starts as a way to manage products or projects in a better way, to deliver products to market faster, to make sure that the quality is better. For me, that's the starting point. And as you start playing with Agile, you start realizing that it's much more about Agile mindset or about behaviors of people or the Agile culture that supports this product development, for example. And that's why you as an HR person come in. To wrap things up, for me, Agile has three main ingredients. First of all, it's about self-organization, and this means that we need to change the way we lead. We need to make sure that we empower people, and it also means that people need to take accountability as they get freedom from the constraints of their roles that were there before in the hierarchy that you have within the organization. So for HR people, that means we need to facilitate leaders to think differently. We need to facilitate the discussion around how, if the structure changes, if there's less hierarchy and we all want to be self-organized, how do we change our behaviors as leaders and as employees in the organization? How do we start relating to each other in a different way? And related to that, also questions come up like, how do we change the performance system to make this happen? Because if people are self-organized and there's less hierarchy, how do I make sure that I still see and give feedback to people on what they have achieved in terms of outcomes? So this is about changing the environment so that self-organization becomes possible. The second notion is Agile entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship. So we want to stimulate people to act as startup founders, to spot opportunities, to see things that are broken and then start fixing it. So we want to stimulate starting up things, taking full accountability for the outcomes that I have within my personal role, within my team, or for the wider organization. Because the more people become entrepreneurial, the more your company will be able to spot opportunities in the marketplace to improve internal processes and keep fixing things. And for me, the big paradigm shift is, if I'm an employee that has SOPs and KPIs and roles and responsibilities, I'm executing something which is designed by the organization, as if I'm working in a factory. If I'm an entrepreneur, on the other hand, I continuously adjust my behavior to make the outcomes happen that we together agree upon. So I continuously ask myself, how do I create more impact? How do I create new business opportunities? How could I help the organization create new products and services that benefit the users? So this is the area where, as you can see from my story, where HR has a lot of work to do to change people's perspective to become more entrepreneurial. And then the last notion of an Agile culture is a balanced workplace. And for me, this is enabling people to work from any place, any time, wherever they want. So we give them freedom and control over their own time. Yeah, that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is people have to take full accountability for their work and for the outcomes that they promise to you or to the organization. So it's basically a coin with two sides. We make sure that people have the freedom to do whatever they want, how they want it, and at the same time we can hold them accountable for creating the outcomes. If they don't create the outcomes that they promise, then we have an issue and we need to discuss this. If they do create the outcomes and have an impact on the organization, then they need to be rewarded for this. So as HR, we need to start thinking of how do we create this mindset and how do we create the supporting systems to enable this freedom with accountability. So these are the three things that come up. Now, how this all relates, for example, to productivity and employee growth cycles or career is in productivity. The productivity comes from creating the right structures and the right agile habits. So I've recently created a few courses on agile habits that, for example, deal with productivity or discipline. And this applies to individuals, like how do I do good time management, how do I plan my work, but it also relates to the team. So in Agile, we try to focus on team structures and looking at the outcomes that a team creates, and we measure productivity of the team, which in itself is a mind shift. So we need to look at how do we enable people, how do we enable teams to think about this discipline and create the right outcomes. Yeah, so this is where Agile can help on productivity and creating more outcomes with fewer people or fewer resources. Now, employee growth and career is another important topic for HR. And the Agile answer to this is that the major shift that we're trying to make is to move this responsibility for learning and for career growth and for personal development to the people themselves. So it is less of conversation between the line manager and employee spotting opportunities, and it's more peer-to-peer or maybe Scrum Master or Agile coach coaching with the person for the person to self-identify what do I need to learn in order to reach my objectives. Now, the typical career path in an organization is up. So we sketch a path for people on starting here and then make clear what they need to do in order to move up the ladder. In an Agile organization, we try to remove that concept because there is less hierarchy. So there is less opportunity for people to move up. Instead of that, we want people to contribute to the outcomes that need to be achieved within the organization. And this means that they need to become wider or T-shaped. They need to look at what else can I do beyond the constraints of the role that I was hired for, and for example have impact on marketing, on sales, on operations, even if I am in a finance role, just to mention an example. So we want to stimulate people to grow wider and not only up the ladder. So this is how Agile tries to create a different environment for people to blossom, to flourish, and with that create outcomes for the organization. So I'm a strong believer that Agile helps to create the organization of the future, and my strong conviction is that there is not enough support or initiative from the HR departments in many organizations. I hope you're an exception in this, of course. And to get you started, I've created a couple of courses, and to make a special start for 2022, we've also made a discount that you are eligible for. So the courses that I've created are around Agile habits, and Agile habits are, for example, being open, giving feedback, being more disciplined, how to get more productive. There's many topics within the Agile Habits course that I've created. And then there's also the Agile Habits Entrepreneurship course, which helps people understand how do I become more of a founder or entrepreneur in order to have more impact on the organization. Now, the Agile Habits courses are not completely finished yet, but as they are released, you can use the discount. And the Agile Habits Entrepreneurship course is finished, so I hope you could start with that. Now, it's all online courses, but in Equipa we also have coaching, we have programs to support you with. In my view, the online courses are a great starting point to equip people with a different mindset, to start the year in a good way, so that in 2022, you as the HR person can lay the foundation to create an Agile organization and change the culture, or at least to make a start at this culture change that will enable the company to flourish and to create the future that is there.